Alright, so we're going to take a look at some of the larger pieces and kind of build the framework for how to create bigger pieces in a relatively pain-free way. So what we're going to do, just as we've done in some of the other pieces, we're going to use this top and bottom. I'm going to grab the top and the bottom polygon, shift up arrow until I get right outside of the rim, and invert my selection and delete what's left. Next thing that I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this and I'm going to move it up and to the left 4 millimeters each direction. So 4 millimeters and 4 millimeters. And now I'm going to go down to duplicate array, and I'll make sure I'm set up to 2 by 2. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this down. I want it to be 8 millimeters. So let's just type in 8 millimeters, 0, 8 millimeters, and that'll get me all lined up there. All right, so now I have the 4 pieces here. They're centered around the origin, and this is going to be how we're going to construct this larger piece with 2 by 2, so 4 of these bumps on them. So I'm going to center up here. I'm going to turn my symmetry on the X first of all, and I'm going to go ahead here. Oops, let's go to edge mode. And I'm going to select, the wrong axis here, so I'm going to select these 3 edges right here, and these 3 edges right here, and then I'm going to go ahead and bridge those. Now I'm going to switch my action center over to the Z axis, and I'm going to grab, these 3 edges here, and these 3 right here. I'm going to bridge those. I'm going to select this whole middle part right here, hit the P key, and we'll fill it with a polygon. Alright, so we're going to do the same thing now on the underside. Sometimes these underside ones can be a little bit of a bear to get to, so I'm going to go ahead and hide what's on the top here. And I'm going to do the same thing here. So let's get to a good underside vantage point here where I can see what's going on. And we're going to go, facing the wrong way here. Make sure I've got myself oriented properly. Alright, so I'm going to get this one, this one. I'll just use the up arrow to speed things along a little bit. And I'm just going to pinwheel around to this other side. And then we'll add this one, and the next one. Good, so ready there. Go ahead and bridge that. Do the same thing in the other direction, although I've got to make sure to switch my symmetry back over to the x-axis. Oops, make sure I drop the tool also. It's twice I've made that mistake now. So 1, 2, 3. And we'll pan in over here. And we'll get 1, 2, 3. A lot of times it's good to use your arrow keys to increase your selection on these, because you really run the risk of selecting too much and getting a couple of edges when you have such close ones together. But we want to leave those so that we kind of ensure a little bit of a better edge protection here on these, so that these are the ones that get stretched out and get touched, and not the ones that actually lead on to our cylinders themselves. Let's go ahead and unhide everything there. And I'm going to turn my symmetry off now. Drop my tool. And now I'm ready to go ahead and build in the box around these. So I'm just going to start by dragging it roughly out here. And I want to make sure that I'm at 0, 1.6 millimeters, and 0 millimeters. Then we'll go at 16 millimeters, 3.2 millimeters, and 16 millimeters. And that's going to give us the right dimensions for our beginning cube here. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this stuff and apply our texture to it. That piece gray. All right. And now we're going to do pretty much the same kind of thing that we had done with the other pieces here. So what I'm going to do is run loop slices, and I'm going to keep those pretty tight. I think I used 46% on the others, so I'm going to do the same thing here. And then we'll go this direction. Same thing. All right, now I'm going to run loop slices here, 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 and let's see if I can grab. I'm going to get stuff overlapping, so I'll do the last one here in a second. So again, let's run loop slice, just click the uniform tool, and that just leaves us this little bit right here, and we're set. Okay, so what I'm going to want to do here is run some loop slices. And actually, I think I got a little ahead of myself, but that'll be all right. Run some loop slices along the edges here. Let me keep that at 2 so they don't get too tight. Okay, and then I neglected to run the loop slices here. If I tab this, you can see I neglected to run the loop slices along here, along all these edges. So that's all right. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to select 2 polys here, 2 here. I'm going to make sure I'm going the same direction, 2 here, 2 here. And on Alt-C, set my count to 1 and free. Then I'm going to zoom in kind of on an edge here so I can see, and because sometimes you'll get this happening where you decide later that you need loop slices. So then I just going to aim that down for something that looks good, looks pretty lined up, relatively close. There we go. And then I'm going to flip to the underside, and I'm going to do the same thing, and I make sure I'm going in the same direction. And actually, looks like I've got those all around now. So let's check. There we go. Excellent. So now that I've got these here, if I just let me start by hiding this. I'm just going to grab this very middle poly, and I'm going to get all the way up to here. So just one ring from the edge. I'm going to cut that out, unhide, and then we'll just give a double check here. And this is 28 edges. Double click here, 28 edges. So as long as we've watched our loop slices, we should always have this pretty well lined up. And if you happen to have missed any of how that was done, that would probably be a good one to rewind on. It finally is cropped up. Here's our awful flipped polygon, or our reverse direction, excuse me. So easy fix, reverse the direction, and we're set to go. So there's that top part taken care of in relatively short order. So let's jump now to the bottom here. Do the same thing. This time, remember, we go all the way up. And, of course, we want to be unsubdivided for this. So I'll get out of polygon mode, jump into vertices, and bevel this. And we'll jump right to our scale tool. And we'll bring this in. Maximize that top view. And since this one is equal on all sides, I can get away with using the planar handle here, so that's nice. I know it's going to line up in all the directions. All right, so let's drop that tool. And it looks like we got a problem here though. Group polygons was not on, so let's hit bevel again. Group. Hit right to our scale tool again, and we'll just pull that back in. It looks like it was 79.5. Looked like the good dimension there. Okay, so now let's bevel again. Again, this time we can use our regular inset. Go up 1.7 millimeters. Okay. Drop our tool. Shift down arrow to decrease our selection and cut. And let's go ahead and subdivide this so it'll get a little easier to see. So I'll grab this edge and this edge. Should be at 56. Yep, so it was 28 on each side. Run our bridge tool. And this one is back to the normal way, so we'll flip that around. And now we need a couple of loop slices here, a couple more here. So Alt-C, we'll set this back to symmetry now, and 2 because we're back at our normal edges. And keep that about that 2%. It was looking good on the other one. So these are a little wider edges. Sometimes you want to soften up what you had done before. Okay, so this is this is almost all the way here for this piece. What we are missing is on the underside, there is a ring here that we'll need to put in. And there are a couple ways that we can handle this. What I'm going to do here is I'm just going to select one of these, and I'm going to, let's see, how am I going to do this? I'll just shift up arrow. I'm going to copy that. And I'm going to go to my empty mesh layer for a minute here. I'm going to paste that in. And then I'm going to go basic, center selected on the ZX. And that's going to drop it right into the middle of my space. See that there? And let's see, let's unsubdivide this. Looks like we're getting relatively tight on these edges here. So I'm going to have to make some adjustments on the underside, but I'll do that in a moment. I'm going to run, I'm going to run loop slices through each of these so I can get my positioning where I can place these actually. And now what I'm going to do is, let's see, let's go here. I'm going to grab all of these edges here, 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 and here. And, oops, sorry. Actually, no, I take it back. Just need to grab, let's see, let's check my spacing here. Actually, I take it back. I think we're probably okay. So, yeah, that was something else I was looking at. So we should be in pretty good shape here. So let's go back to this one. And before I even keep going here, there's one thing I want to do with this. And I want to select all these polys. I want to go to my UV, and I want to go to that logo bump, and I want to delete these UVs because I don't want to be getting that logo showing up there. So that will help out. Let's go back to our quad view now that that's set up. I'm going to move it down. And let's see here. This needs to go to here. That's down 1.6. We'll take us to here. Then we need to go down another 1.5. So that's going to put us to a total of 3.1 millimeters. And then we'll flip that one. I could also use some alignment tools, snapping tools if I wanted to be quicker about that, or if I didn't know the exact measurements. But since I already done this a few times, not too big a deal. All right, so now I'm going to take this one here, and I'm going to cut it, go in here and paste it in. And now we need to unsubdivide because we're going to need the thickness for a wall here. And I'm going to select all of this, and I'm going to do edge extend, so Z, and I'm going to click. And with edge extend, I can scale, but I can't scale in a planar fashion. I can only scale one dimension at a time. So I'm going to jump right over to the scale tool, as we've done in other things. And I'm just going to drag this guy out to here. And what I'm looking for, let's maximize that top view. So I'm looking for the alignment here roughly with this part. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to leave it a little bit short. And then I'm going to run another edge extend, scale out a little bit more, just to right there. And that's going to give me that solidified edge. Kind of looking for the same kind of depth of the edge there. It's probably that 100 edge. And let's drop that. And now I'm going to select this loop, shift up arrow, and actually, let's see. I guess I didn't really need to do that, did I? That's okay here. So let's just get rid of this one. What I want to do is grab this loop. There you go. Losing my mind. Let's see. So let's pull down all the way down 1.7 millimeters. Put us right at the bottom there. And then we need loop slices here, here, and here. Let's pull those in. Put those again at 2%. And we'll go ahead and subdivide, and we should be relatively solidified. So now all we have to do is select this edge, select that edge, and run the bridge tool. And there you have it. You'll notice here we start to get some real kind of waviness in these lines, and that's totally okay. This is the reason that we've built in some extra edges. It actually looks like we're one loop slice short here. That should be my motto. I'm one loop slice short. So I go to free here, and I'm just going to drop that in at 98%, or I guess 2%. Sorry, I'm thinking backwards. Again, I'm one loop slice short, so I should change my screen name on the Lexology user forums. There we go. So now because we have this, even though this gets all this wonkiness to it here, this gives us that degree of separation between everything that's going on here to get our surface even, and this edge, and it's going to keep that edge nice and sharp. Still get obviously that slight rounding. The reason we're doing it in sub D, but there you go. Overall, there that piece is ready. So let's keep right moving along here. Let's make our preset for this. So save item preset, and we'll call this 2, 2, and actually just leave it there, 2 by 2. Call it a deal. I'll go over and make sure it's showing up in my layout tab. Yep, there it is. And now what we're going to do is just keep this one for reference just in case we need it. So I'm going to copy everything and paste it into my empty layer. And this time we're going to use more than just these. We're going to use all 8 of these pieces, and we're going to use this guy. So, and actually, I take it back. What we're going to have to do is we're going to have to select this part first. So let's get to there, and then we'll add these. And that's just because this one has to go up from the inside and then also back down. So once we're here, we should be at the same point. So, and that should be everything. Yeah, it's like we're one too many here, but that's all right. I'd rather just deselect this than back up and do all the extra work of reselecting. So just again, we're just looking to keep that one rim. There we go. So that ought to do it for us. I'm going to invert my selection and cut out the rest. And now I'm going to turn on my X symmetry. So actually, you know what? Here, I'm going to take it back. Always all these decisions. And I'm going to do these kind of one piece at a time this time. So let's do it with the top side here. And what I'm going to do with the top side is I'm going to look at grabbing this entire section because this makes up this island here. And I'm going to copy this. I'm just going to make a new mesh layer and paste it in. And then what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to move on this one piece at a time, and it's going to make my life significantly easier. So I'm going to copy, hide, turn my, what direction are we looking there? Actually, I do want to go on the X just to kind of keep things going the same way. So let's turn on my X symmetry. I'm going to paste, and oops, looks like we're not 100% symmetrical. That's not a good sign. We can fix that in a minute. So, and now I'm just going to take these guys and move them out 8 millimeters. And unhide the rest. And then I'm going to check and see what's going on. It looks like I've got symmetry here. And now these guys are showing up as symmetrical. So hey, I'm going to consider myself fortunate and not worry about that. So let's see, I'm going to go ahead and keep bridging these together. So just like I had done on the other sides, I'm going to get all 3 of these, all 3 of these, and I'll run bridge. Same thing over here. So let's grab this one, and this one, and this one, and that last one. Bridge those together. Then we'll just grab these 3. Bridge those. And this is going to leave us at an interesting point here, actually. So what I'm going to do is before I continue this, I'm going to go ahead and add in my loop slices. So I'm just going to set this to 2 and click the uniform button. Because now this is going to give us something more proper to attach here. I'll get these 2, run my bridge tool, set it up to 3, and then we're at this same point that we were, a couple of pieces back. So we just have these areas to bridge up. Sorry, got to deselect those. There we go, and bridge those up. So now we're at a point where we have this entire piece here all ready to go. And everything's looking pretty good here. Yeah, okay. I think we're good. All right, so now we need to do the same thing on the underside. And when we do that, we're actually going to include our lower hole that comes in the middle here. So let's go back up to this top layer, and I'm going to select everything up to, it was right there. Get all this stuff. Shift up arrow. Hopefully that'll get us. Yep, that gets us all the way there. So I'm going to copy this. Actually, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself again. I'm going to copy this, go down to my new mesh layer and paste it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this entire thing. Let's turn off our symmetry. Drag this entire thing over 8 millimeters. Oops. My mouse a little too close to my keyboard there, made it jump. Okay, so I got that. And now I'm just going to take this, I'm going to run Shift V to mirror it. That's going to give us that piece. Okay, and let's see here. What did we have selected back here? Everything up to there. So what we'll do here is I'm going to select this piece, and I'm going to get myself all the way up to, I think there is probably going to be good. So let's copy that, paste that in. And then I'm actually going to take this and hide it for now. Because what we need to do is we need to run some bridging along here. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that. I think what I'm going to do here, let's turn our symmetry on the X. And I'm just going to select this guy and this guy. I'm just going to go all the way down on both sides here. And we will now turn our symmetry off because the bridge won't work with symmetry on. I'll just set that to the right amount. I'm going to grab this middle polygon, cut that out, unhide our piece on the bottom, and we're ready to grab this and this. 24 edges, so we know we're right there. Run bridge. Oops. And we're pretty much set there on the underside. So one thing I'm noticing is that I do have one extra row of edges here, and just to make sure that I keep everything properly aligned, I'm just going to select that loop and cut it out. Okay. So now I have all the interior, now I have all the top pieces, and now I'm ready to just go ahead and add in my box here. So let's go ahead and grab a box. I've got these settings already in here, which is pretty much what we want, except in the X we want 32. So let's just type that in and click apply. And we got that. So let's go ahead and apply our material here. Base gray will do nicely. And oops, want to make sure, sometimes you'll get something in a UV here. So let's go over to our UV, and I'm just going to make sure that I delete those UVs off there. And there's some other UVs right here. Most of the time, those aren't going to show up and mean anything, but I just want to make sure we're not getting anything funny going on. So I'm going to run loop slices along here. Oops, set that to symmetry. I'm going to go for that 2 and 98% again. And then I'm going to run it this way. And I'm going to run these separately just because you can see I want to get these ones as close as I can. And then these ones don't need to be nearly so close. So something like that. And I'll make that part ready. All right, and let's see here. So now I can see that I've got a definite large amount of subdivision that I need to do here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run loop slices down the middle, and these ones are going to be really, really close right here. Like insultingly close, probably. And they're going to look farther apart than they really are here at first. So we'll get this piece here, the same thing. And now I'm going to grab this section, this section, this section, this section, Actually, sorry, let's do this one more time. Yeah, that'll work. Okay, so now I'm going to grab this, this, oops, and this. So it's going to give me all my ones through the center regions, and we'll just click uniform. And then since we now have the stuff on the underside, we also need to run these through here. All right, so now let's just grab this entire thing and hide it. These polygons here in the very middle. Shift up arrow, and oops, looks like I started off too narrow. May have made one extra set of selections here. We'll have to double check this. I may need to delete a little bit, but if we do, it won't make a real big difference. This entire intersection here. I got everything. Just a couple. What you might want to do is if you got some tight polys like that, I'm going to hit Shift Up and Shift Down arrow, and that's going to close any gaps that I have in the middle, and it's going to leave my border the same. So let's cut that out, and let's unhide the rest. And I'm going to select this one here. Oops. And that looks like we got 60 edges, and 60 edges here. So it looks like we are right on track. So let's get all those. Go ahead and bridge. Oops, once again, we've got to reverse the direction on that. And we're looking pretty nice. Let's check that in our unwireframe view. Yeah, I think that works for me. All right, and same thing over here. Let's grab all of this stuff here, since this one's pretty wide. Let's see if that gives me enough. Save me some time selection. Oh, even that, not enough, huh? So let's just go all the way out there. Let's try that. Oh, still, huh? That's all right. Let's get our last selection here manually. Make sure you're careful dragging around here, since you do have some really tight polygons in those, or really close, that is, polygons in those underlying circular sections that are hanging down. So gotta make sure you're not selecting any of those. So let's hit Shift Up and Shift Down to make sure we've got everything. And actually then we need to hit Shift Up again, and we've got to bevel this part. So let's unsubdivide. Go to poly mode, and I'm gonna bevel, click, and then scale. And since we know these are 2 to 1, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna scale this in, and I'm gonna aim for getting this edge aligned. That's looking pretty good. And we're at 89.5, so it's 10.5, so I want to take this down to 79% probably on here. Yep, and we've got that real nice alignment. Okay, and then we'll bevel again, click, drag up 1.7 millimeters, shift down arrow to decrease that selection, cut that out, and now we'll hit the tab key. Here we've got 60 edges, jumps up to 120 edges, perfect. Go ahead and bridge that. And once again, the underside is back to the normal direction, so we'll get that. And we just need our couple of loop slices here and here. And that, gentlemen, is how they do that. There we go. So now we've got this piece ready and that piece ready. And we're ready to go ahead. Let's see, we already made the preset on that one, so let's make the preset on this one. And we'll call this 4x2 LXL. Save. Go over here and check our layout. Make sure it's showing up. It is. And we're set and ready to go. We'll go ahead and in between the videos, I'll render out the images here. I'll probably include all the thumbnails here with the video. That way, if you don't want to have to render them all out, you'll have them all there, and you can just attach them at will. So thanks, and I will see you in the next video.